Hey guys, welcome back to the Principal Outdoors YouTube channel. Glad to see you. Thanks for taking the time to watch. Much appreciated. Subscribers are going up. Number of watches are going up, so it's very much appreciated. If you haven't subscribed, please do. It means a lot to us YouTubers. So very much appreciated, and we'll keep the videos coming. So a while ago, I did a small boat rig. So suggesting what type of sonar, what type of motor, how many volts that you would put on a small boat. So that video was, say, for 12 foot to 16 foot boats. Now we're sitting in my Lund, and it's a bit bigger boat. So now we're talking about over 16 foot boats. So 17 foot, 18, 19, 20 foot boats. What kind of setup you would use for that, and how they would all work together, these electronics that you're putting on your boat. It doesn't matter what kind of boat you have, whether it's a bass boat or aluminum boat. I mean, we're focusing on fishing boats. Remember what they say, the best boat, if people are wondering between bass boats or aluminum boats or whatever, really the best boat is the boat that's paid for. That's really the best boat that's out there. So if you're lucky enough to have a boat that's paid for, then you've got the best boat on the lake. So let's talk about this boat. This is an 1875 Lund, so it's pretty much 19 feet. It's designed like a bass boat, ready for 2 sonars on it, ready for a good solid bow mount on it. It's got a 200 horsepower Merc on the back. Really, really good boat. And this is the way I rigged it. This boat I actually use for demonstrations on the water for some of our dealers. So I kind of rig it to what are the most popular units. Not just the high-end units, but the most popular units being the Helix line as far as sonars go. So I mounted it with Helixes, and I'll talk to you about the trolling motor as well. As you can see behind me, we got 2 Raptors on the back. Those are brand new. Haven't tried them yet, but we've rigged 2 Raptors on there. This is what we're going to talk about. Let's start talking about the console right here. So what I have at the console here is a Helix 10 mega side imaging unit. Now, the size of it is not important. Again, like I said in my other video, once you get to Helix 8s, if it's a Helix 8 or up and it's the side imaging, it's mega side imaging. So you're getting the best side imaging that's on the market. So what you really want is to make sure that you have a side imaging unit at the console. And quickly, I'm going to give you a tip on why I've always rigged my boats that way. So if you look here, you can see on the screen, it's a side imaging screen. So there's our boat right there. Right now we're scanning out 98 feet to the left, 98 feet to the right. You can change that as much as you want. And you can see the boats moving forward. So like I said in the other videos, any kind of imaging, side imaging, down imaging, the boat has to move to scan the bottom. That's what we're doing. And we just came up on a massive structure right here, which is a beautiful piece of structure. I wonder what lake that is. So we're in simulator here. But what I would do is I see this beautiful piece of structure and I would hit the cursor button, just like that. Now the screen's gonna freeze. So now you can actually take a good look at what you're seeing here. So like that's massive schools of baitfish right there. That's all big piles of baitfish sitting above this structure right here. And you might want to get a closer look. So you can move your cursor and you can actually zoom in on that school of baitfish and say, oh yeah, it's a baitfish. And then you can move it over and you can see the structure and really look at the structure. Zoom back out. That actually looks like a stump right there. Could be a stump. You don't see the grain of the wood if it is. That looks right there like a fish next to whatever that is. In any case, this is a very good piece of structure right here. So what I'm going to do is I want to mark that waypoint. So I press mark. And right, I want a waypoint, so it's telling me to hit the arrow, so I hit the arrow with my thumb. There, I've made a waypoint. Waypoint 004 is created. I want this to start scrolling again, so I just hit the exit button and we're back to where we were. So that's why I have a side imaging unit at the console. Basically, when I go to a new lake, when I used to practice for tournaments, I would go to an area where there was a lot of contours and I would drive around with side imaging and I would mark spots like that were interesting. I'd mark about 3 or 4 waypoints in that area, then I would turn off my engine and I would go up front and I would fish those waypoints. And that's where we get into One Boat Network, because this unit here is connected to my unit up front through Ethernet. So that's the One Boat Network. So when I mark waypoints right here, those waypoints go up to the front. So when I drop my trolling motor and I want to fish, those waypoints are right there. That's why you want a side imaging unit at the console. So, you know, my suggestion to you, if you're looking to rig your boat, and budget is always a concern, as it is for everybody, go with a smaller screen, but get side imaging if you have to. If you want to learn about fishing, and if you want to find those great fishing spots, you need to use a side imaging unit at the console. It's the best way to find structure and learn about what's going on in the lake. So that's what I have right here. I'm going to show you a couple of things in the menu as well that are pretty important. Just some quick tips before we move on to the bow and show you what's rigged up at the bow. So the very important thing is whenever you get a Humminbird, a Helix, you want to put it go into setup and make sure that it's in custom mode. So there's two choices here, custom or angler mode. Angler is, basically custom is it opens up to all the menus. So you'll get a lot more variety, a lot more choice in the menus. So I urge you to always put it in custom. That way, you know, if you're looking on YouTube and somebody says, go to this in the menu, you will see it in custom. It may be hidden if you leave it in angler. So please leave it in custom all the time. Now you've got the full readout of the menus. Now let's take a look at what's set up in this boat, right? You want to look at everything that's hooked up to each other. So I'll show you that right here. You can just hold down the view button and then you can go down to system right here. And if I go down to accessory test, boom. This is showing me everything that's hooked up in this boat here. Now it's in simulator, so sometimes in simulator things are a little show up that they're just trying to show you for simulator. So, but you can see here my two Raptors are showing up. They're even separated by left and right side Raptor. GPS is connected. My iPilot is connected. If it wasn't in simulator, you would see the actual software version of your iPilot link right there. So again, it's iPilot Link that's connected to these units. Regular iPilot does not connect to units. Okay, Link if you want to be able to control it from your Humminbirds. Mega 360 is not connected yet. Mega Live's not connected yet. Hopefully that'll be pretty soon. NEMA 2000, this boat does have a NEMA 2000 backbone. I installed that a couple of years ago. So it's telling you that yes, your NEMA connection is hooked up. NEMA, for those who don't know, is a way to see engine data from your outboard. I can show you that in a minute. And speed and temperature is hooked up as well. See, it also says chirp radar is hooked up. I do not have a radar hooked up, but the simulator is showing that. So again, that's how you look to see if everything's hooked up. So if you're rigging your boat and you've got everything properly hooked up, I did another video on how to hook everything up. So please take a look at that. But this is where you're gonna go and see if everything is actually hooked up. Once you have everything hooked up, the other thing you can do is go into the menu, right? So I want to go into the menu. I hit menu once and I go to the far right, network. So now I want to look at my network. So I go to network source setup. Boom. So now, again, everything's hooked up. This sonar is talking with that sonar. They're both helixes, so they will share a lot of information. They'll share GPS information. They will share NEMA information. They will share transducer information. So you know, if I have a 360 hooked up front, I can see it here. So this is where you go in and you tell this unit here where to get its information. Now, the important thing is you don't even have to do this. It'll get its information in the best spot on its own. So you don't actually have to go in and do this. But if you wanted to, you can actually go in here and say, okay, now I'm working on the console unit. So the 2D information I want it to come from, my choice is from my bow unit. So, oh geez, sorry about that. So you see, I can actually I changed that name to bow. You can do that yourself. And this is the console unit. So where do I want this console unit to get its 2D information from its own transducer? That makes sense. I want it to get its DI information from its own transducer, and I want it to get its SI information from its own transducer. Temperature as well, I can now select it. Let's say for some reason I want it to take the temperature. I want this unit to get its temperature from the bow unit. Then I can just go here and hit the right arrow, and now it's taking temperature from the front unit. Not sure why you want to do that, but you could do it. And now we go back up. If you had a second temperature, I can have it get its second temperature from, now it's getting it from its own unit, which is good. And then GPS right here. So this is kind of the one thing that you will play around with. This boat, because it's got a number of units and it's got an iPilot link, and because it will have 360, it actually has 4 GPS antennas in the boat. and I can tell it, this unit here, to take whatever GPS it wants. Now again, I'm in simulator here, so it's not going to show up. I'll take a quick little video and stick it in here so you can see the options. I'll take it out of simulator after. And what my choices are going to be, I can tell this unit, the console unit, to use its own built-in GPS receiver. All Helixes have built-in GPS receivers, all Helix GPS units. They're all built in. I can tell it to use the external antenna, so I put an external heading sensor antenna on the back of this because of 360. I'll talk about that in the next video. So I can tell it to use that GPS receiver. I can tell this unit to use the front GPS receiver from the Helix that's up front, or I can tell it to use the GPS receiver that's in the Ultrex trolling motor. So there'll be 4 choices up here, and I can tell it to use whichever one it wanted. In this case, because I'm at the console unit, I'm going to have it use the GPS receivers at the back. The reason why that is important is because I'm using this for side imaging, right? So like I said, I'm driving around and I'm looking for stuff and I'm marking it on GPS. Therefore, it's the transducer that's showing me that. So the GPS receiver that I want it to use, I want it to be as close to that transducer as possible. So if I use its internal GPS receiver, well, the transducer's back there 10 feet away, and the GPS receiver is up here 10 foot apart. Not the best idea. I have a GPS receiver back there, let's use that one. So that's network source setup. That's where you tell each unit where to get its information. Its GPS information, its sonar information, temperature information. Yeah, really that simple. I think that's it I want to show you. A couple of things, let's see. Yeah, I can hit the power button. I'm just gonna get rid of this here. The power button right here is actually underutilized, if you want to say. It's very important that you can always hit your power button. And look, if you look right there, you can see I can actually control my trolling motor from here. Again, simulator, so I can't do it. But I could actually, because I have a link motor, an iPilot link motor, I can actually turn my prop on, steer it, turn it off, spot lock. I can do what I want straight here from the sonar. So it may not be something that you're going to use a lot unless you're a trolling guy, in which case you will. But sometimes I'm actually back here retying lures or doing whatever, and the boat starts drifting and I need to get control of my trolling motor quick, and I'll actually use my sonar to do it. Pretty much always when I'm docking my boat, I leave my talon. Last year I had talons. When I dock my boat, I leave my talons down in the water to keep the boat from moving overnight. And I would always control it from here on the sonar. So these are a couple of controls that you have right here. So there's your trolling motor. There's your Raptors. I can send them down. I can turn my trolling motor prop on and off. Trim up and trim down. That's if I had an Altera. So again, this is in simulator, so it's thinking I have an Altera. But if I did, I can actually trim the motor up and down or stow the Altera. And that's it. That's pretty much. The other one I do is 360 pinging and standby. So whenever I get to a spot and I don't need this sonar anymore, I'll just hit standby and the screen shuts off. So I'm saving battery power if I don't need the sonar, but it doesn't shut completely off. So I can just hit the power button and come bring it back to life. So that's a quick look at the console. A couple of other things I have at the console is I do have the remote for my iPilot link motor is here. I just keep that there in case I need it. The best thing about this remote is it actually has a battery indicator for itself, obviously, and it also has a battery indicator for your trolling motor batteries. So I can just keep an eye on my trolling motor batteries and make sure that I'm not getting too low on those, see if there's any issues if the voltage drops too low. So that's actually pretty practical. And then obviously I can actually control my Raptors from the iPilot Link motor, or obviously I can control the iPilot Link motor itself. I do have an AquaView here that I just installed this year. I'm going to talk about that in the next video. So let's take a look up front on the bow of the boat and see how we set that up. All right, so now we're at the front of the boat, the bow of the boat, the office, if you will, where you're going to do most of your work. So up here, I put a Helix 10 as well. The difference is here I put a down imaging unit. I'm not big on side imaging at the front of the boat, so I picked a down imaging unit and I picked an Ultrex motor with a down imaging transducer. I paired the two that way. I use an Ultrex motor because it's got the cable steer with electric assist. In my mind, it's the best motor on the market. And again, I'm only bass fishing, so that's the motor that is the most popular in the world for bass fishing. And I mean, I can't say no to that, right? I mean, Kevin Van Dam uses it. That's all I need to know. So, beautiful motor. You know, if you're more of a walleye guy, you might go with a Terova or an Altera. But the important thing is this, you know, pick what motor you want. I have a video on that. But I do suggest, I'm just saying what I prefer is a down imaging transducer in the front. So you see the image that I get up here. Again, it's simulator, but on the right here, this is down imaging. On the left, that's 2D sonar. The new transducers in these motors are super clear pictures. So this is the clarity that you'll get on the water. I love having down imaging for when I'm largemouth fishing and I'm out in 15 to 20 feet of water and I'm fishing over weed beds. I can easily see how thick the weed beds are and know if it's going to be productive or not. So that's my choice for sonars up there. The second thing is the same thing as the other one. If you go into your menu here and you hit menu twice, so I'll just explain you how menus work. If you've got nothing on the screen and you hit menu, you'll get an express menu, so it's a few selections that come up designed for the screen that you're on. When you hit menu a second time, you'll see this menu. This is your full menu, complete menu. So again, we're going over to the right here to network, and we're going down to network source setup, and we're going to do the same thing that we did at the console. So 2D sonar, I wanted to get it from the Mega bow unit right here. DI, same thing, I wanted on the bow, taking the information from the trolling motor. And the SI, so now SI, this is the cool thing about having everything networked together, is SI, I can get it, the only unit that has SI is the console unit. So if I want to see SI up here, I can just select that, and now I'm going to get SI on the front here from the console unit, as long as the console unit is turned on. And we go back up to temperature. Again, I can mess around with where I want to get temperature. And then GPS. So on this one, on the trolling motor, if you remember what I said about, you know, you're using GPS, the transducer, you see stuff on the screen from the transducer, and you want to mark it. So you want your GPS antenna and your transducer to be as close as possible. So on the bow unit, I will actually go and select the GPS receiver that's in the trolling motor, because it's right above the transducer that's in the trolling motor. So that's your best choice as far as GPS selection. So you do have that option there. It's right up front here. The other thing you'll notice up here is I have the new stomper switches for the Raptors. So I'm always a right-footed trolling motor guy. So I put my down button on the right-hand side and my up on the left. Thinking of that is I'm on the trolling motor with the right foot. I just have to reach over to a bit further to the right, tap that button twice, and it will drop down. Quick note on Talons and Raptors, anytime you want them to deploy, to go down, it's always, you have to hit it twice. That's purposely put in there so you don't accidentally hit them once and they go down. So just keep that in mind. I've had a lot of calls of people saying, you know, I can't get my Raptors, my Talons to go down, or my Raptors, and how many times did you push the button? Once. You gotta push it twice. It's really that simple. The other thing that I have up here is another unit. A second unit. It's going to be the first time that I use a second unit up front. That is going to be for 360 and Mega Live, and that's going to be part 2 of this video where we talk about that. So the deluxe rigging of this boat, all the extras that you can add on to get a little higher level of a boat if you want. So that's really it. That's the rigging right there. I don't think I forgot anything. Again, even up here, power button, always keep that in mind. I can hit the power button and I can actually send the Raptors down, right? Oh, but I didn't just break one of my rods back there. Raptors up, again, all controlled from here. Do have the pedals, but if I happen to be here, I can do it from the sonar as well. Thanks for watching, guys. Again, next video is going to be on the extras that I put on here, the Aqua View. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about Auto Chart Live in the boat, how to do that. And I'm going to talk about the second unit up front, why I have that, and what's going to be on there. And hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Please give us a subscribe or a like, or just enjoy the videos. That's cool. Thanks.